So, Will Smith.
In the building.
Actor, let's see, rapper. TV show.
Yes. Philanthropist.
Philanthropist, we got creator.
Cook.
Interesting. I didn't have that one yet.
Yeah, no, I just threw that in. I'm not even sure that's true.
Welcome to the show. I appreciate you spending the time.
Absolutely.
So I want to start talking tech for a little bit.
Okay.
So you came up in the era of classics, of hip hop, of all these things, and I just got to go way back to the beginning. What's your favorite piece of retro tech from back in the day?
So Jazzy Jeff was the biggest tech head in all of Philly.
Okay.
So it's crazy. So it was the first time that MIDI, I don't even know, yeah, so I don't even know people even know what MIDI, musical instrument, digital interface.
I couldn't have told you what it stood
for.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was the first time that you could take two drum machines and string them together, right? So Jeff had the 909 and the 808, and it was the first time that you could sync music together from two separate machines.
Okay.
That sounds like some real Flintstone stuff.
I'm into that.
That's so cool. The first time that Jeff made a beat that could sync keyboards and multiple machines and make it play at one time was the most amazing thing.
That's like bleeding edge.
Yeah, that was like bleeding edge technology, that you could make a piece of music and hit one button and make the whole song play from instruments at one time. Right. So I know that doesn't sound like much, but that, and then into the first 4-track recorder, like multi-track recording.
Okay.
Like we didn't have any of that when we were coming up. You had to go into a studio, and it was the 2-inch 24-track tapes, and that was the only way you could record. You couldn't record anyway. People can record on their phones now.
I've heard about these tapes.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so since these years of tapes, and we've gotten more and more digital and more high tech in our films, I'm curious how you feel about tech being like an integral part of the filmmaking process and being used to tell a story.
Right.
So we get all the way from Fresh Prince to Men in Black, all the way to Gemini Man, where like the tech I would say is necessary to tell that story. So if you could talk about how you feel about tech being so core to making that sort of thing happen.
You know, so when I started in entertainment, the lack of tech was a massive creative hindrance, right? It was, you could have an idea and it literally could take you a month before you could get the resources together to get the idea out of your mind onto something you could listen to, right, with music. And with film, it was impossible. If you had images in your mind, you know, with a Super 8 camera to try to shoot something and then try to sync something, it was literally impossible. So two things happened with that. So with rap music, what happened was only the best of the best got through, right?
Okay.
So 1986, the summer that me and Jeff released our first album, if I named all the rappers, you would know who they were, because Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Heavy D, Eric B, Rakim, Public Enemy. It's like you couldn't get through.
Yeah.
So then what happens with technology? As soon as technology gets democratized, then everybody can do it, and now more things get out, and there's a lesser quality to the things that make it to the world. So I would say technology is an absolute necessity to advance human imagination, because really beautiful ideas die inside of people. And I remember one time I heard Marvin Gaye say something that was so cold. He said, he was talking about a pain that he feels, and he said, he says, I have a song inside of me that I know is great and I can't get it out. Right. So to me, that is a part of the human spirit that technology is
it's an enabler.
It's an enabler, yes, to be able to allow us to explore ourselves and to, as Ang Lee said, allow us to chase our imagination, even knowing we'll never catch it.
So now we get to this.
No, that was deep. You got to pause after I say stuff.
Let's
like when I say something like that, you got to have like a pause. Like, damn, that was
quote
deep.
Was good.
That was deep.
Can we get that on the screen?
Yeah, you could put it on the, to chase our imagination, knowing that we'll never catch it. All right, we can
That's
go.
deep.
Yeah,
all right, we can move on. So now Gemini Man. So I've seen the trailers and the plot of the movie is insane. So you're starring in the movie.
Yep.
And a younger version of yourself is also starring at the same time on the screen.
Absolutely.
I'll let that soak in for a second.
Yeah. You know, they ain't ready for that. They ain't ready for that.
That's kind of a lot. So how does this happen? Are you acting as one character for a month and then switching to the other? Are you going back and forth? How does this all happen?
What's really interesting, so this is the first 100% digital character.
Human.
Right, a digital human.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not digital character. Yeah, digital human. Thank you for the correcting.
No problem.
But don't do that again.
No, never.
It was the first.
I'm done. That's all. It's on my Wikipedia page already. That's it.
Y'all remember Marquez Brownlee? He corrected Will Smith one time. No.
See, the thing is, I watched Aladdin on the plane, and I was like, that's kind of a human, but also kind of a genius. So we'll call this the first 100% digital.
The first 100% digital human.
Right.
But that's interesting. So Aladdin was the same technology, but anytime you make someone blue and you make them float and fly and all of that,
there's room to play with it.
There's room to play with it. But when you're trying to sell an emotional scene that's a close-up, and you're on the eyes, and the eyes need to be wet, and you need to capture all of that in a close-up. That's the leap forward that Ang Lee and Weta are attempting to make with Gemini Man. And I've described it in the same way. It's not de-aging. It's not my face and then they flatten it out and make it look younger. No, it's a 100% digital creation based on my performance, right? So in the same way in The Life of Pi with the tiger, right? So they used the tiger and they shot images of a tiger and all of that, but in the movie, creating the movement of the tiger is 100% digital.
Right.
They're not using the tiger as an actor.
Gotcha.
That's how it is with this digital character. It's a 100% digital human.
Would you say it's easier or more difficult to work with so much tech? And because you're obviously acting with, is it a body double or no one's there, or how?
So it's a mixture. Sometimes it's another actor will be there to do the scene with me. Sometimes it's nothing. I'll just get an eye line and look, and depending on what's best for the individual shot.
That's a unique challenge, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. And then it's a unique challenge on the other side because there's a whole head rig that I have to wear, and it has cameras in front, right? So if you and I are doing a scene, there's cameras that are right in front, so I can't really see into your eyes to do the things you'd normally do to capture a real acting performance.
Right, interesting. I'm going to pivot to what I think is fascinating, which is your pivot from being actor to also creator and YouTuber and all these other different mediums. How's that been? Like, it's pretty new for you, but how do you think that's been going so far?
Man, I love it, right? So when you make a movie, so Gemini Man.
Yeah.
For when Gemini Man comes out, it will have been over 2 years since Ang Lee, started the process, and over a year and a half for me being involved. So 2 years for one piece of content to go out is artistic death for me.
Right.
Right. There's so many beautiful, just tiny thoughts and ideas that can turn into 60-second, 4-minute content and shareable to be able to release things into the world. And I just felt completely backed up and trapped with all of these creative ideas. And now with started with YouTube and Instagram and just moving around the different platforms. And all the different platforms speak to a different type of creativity.
They all have a different flow,
A
a different way
flow.
of
Yeah,
expressing things.
they have a different wavelength.
Right.
You know.
Well,
so-
definitely, because I see the Instagram stuff versus like the vlogs, like
The vlog,
YouTube
yeah,
style type
yeah.
of thing. And I'm curious if it lets you. I think the obvious answer is yes, but like you're expressing your own ideas and thoughts
Absolutely.
more often than if you're being directed. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
absolutely. And because it's not really directed per se. It's sort of half capturing real life. I shoot everything now. So what I find is it makes me explore and experience in ways that I wouldn't have if I wasn't going to shoot it.
Right.
You know, we get into cities, you know, we get into, Seoul, Korea, and I'm exhausted. But I know MLMA is doing something, so I want to go down. It actually makes me get out of the bed and go and explore and experience and meet people. You know, even this time with you and doing this press conference at the YouTube space, it's
Right.
like it's an opportunity. I wanted to meet with you. I wanted to sit with you. I wanted to hear what you think. It's like it jogs that creative beast inside of me.
I love that. And then just as far as literal quality, we mentioned the Red cameras,
Yeah.
but like going from,
Cause you fancy.
I mean,
You
not
fancy.
everyone has to shoot with the Red camera,
Yeah,
but like
nah.
the camera in your smartphone today
Yes.
takes amazing
Yes.
video. So if I go back to like shooting Fresh Prince or like, 20 years ago, fun fact, by the way, you've been shooting video longer than I've been alive.
Yes,
I just want to give you
exactly.
props
No,
for
that's
that.
exactly what I was about to say.
So when we go back that far, obviously quality has stepped up
Yes.
in a major way. Are there things we don't think about as a viewer that you have to think about now that the quality is better?
Yes.
I feel like makeup is probably one of those things.
Yeah,
that's gotten
exactly.
better.
Yeah, and it's funny you were just saying that. Like, there were no cell phones when I got started. Like zero, right? So when I was a teenager, when the first cell phone
Yeah.
came out, but nobody had them. Like, rich people had,
people.
and they were the big bricks. And Japan was really the first country that I saw full cell phone coverage. Like the kids in Japan had cell phones before everybody. So it was a whole different way of interacting. Human beings started to interact differently when the technology expanded in that way. I think it's pushing people to be more honest. I think that there's good and bad with any tool, but I think that technology and what is being created and how people are embracing it is going to force humans to evolve.
All right. I love that. All right. So I have one more little series of things,
What you
and
got,
if I can
man?
grab this, so let's do a little meme review.
Review.
We've got a couple
Oh, man.
Will Smith related clips.
Okay, a meme review.
And I want you to, I'm going to show them to you, and people will see them too, but also if you could shed some light on either the behind the scenes or if
Behind
you
the scenes.
remember
Okay.
what's being shot.
Am
or
I
the
going to be
context of
embarrassed
it.
at all? Because I want to prepare myself if I'm going to be embarrassed.
Let's go with no.
And I want to have my team grab stuff of you in case you embarrass me.
Yeah, no, we'll take care of that. But I think this will be fun. So here's the first one. I don't know if you remember this.
Oh man, damn. Yeah, damn. Yeah. This was a time in my life when I was as wild and free as I have ever been. I would say anything in front of a camera. I would do anything, and there was a raw recklessness
Sure.
to my creativity that I'm actually seeking right now. Like I want to make my way back to that say anything, do anything space. Like this guy, he was a wild boy.
Yeah.
You got a message. Somebody's calling you.
I got a little email. I'll just cross that over.
Yeah, just
All right, next meme. Here we go.
don't want to know who Cinnamon is.
This one right here.
Oh yeah.
That's the exact face we just made.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and even that's that is the same period.
Okay.
If I can recall, like during this time, I started expanding my performances because Martin had just come on.
Okay.
Right, the air. And I remember watching Martin's show. And when I watched Martin, the wildness of his comedy, I was like, I got to turn it up. Okay. I got to turn it up a notch. So this was definitely in my keep up with Martin stage.
Okay. Now this is, I think, a talk show.
Oh yeah. I don't know what the hell I was doing in that way.
That's just a great series of emotions all strung together.
Oh yeah. That is crazy. Okay, that one's embarrassing. That was the other two was good. That was a little embarrassing.
This was a sadder one.
Yeah. Aww.
What's weird about this one is the context people use it for is usually way funnier and like more high, lightweight. But this is like
this is the final episode of Fresh Prince. It's funny. I learned a really valuable lesson in this, right? Because the network wanted to do one more season of The Fresh Prince. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was considering I was going to do one more season of The Fresh Prince, and we'd done an episode or something with John Amos. Okay. And John Amos came to me, he said, hey man, listen. He's like, don't overstay your welcome on TV. He was like, you're doing great stuff. He's like, you do not want to get canceled in the middle of a season. It's like, go out on your terms, the way that you want to go out, be able to say goodbye to your fans. Don't get caught.
Okay.
You know?
That's good advice.
And then, so this was the 6th season, and I had an opportunity to do one more season, but I was feeling like the quality wasn't necessarily going to stay up, and I decided to end the show in the 6th season.
Awesome. And do you think that's like some of the better advice you've gotten?
Oh my goodness. So, the being prepared for the next thing is so wildly critical. I think life in general is rise and fall. Everything is rise and fall. And there's been a couple times in my life where I got caught holding on to the last wave while it's dying.
Oh, I have a good quote for that.
Yeah.
I have a Casey Neistat quote.
What Casey
which
said?
is like that I don't even think he probably didn't make this up, but Tarzan can't get to the next branch if he doesn't let go of the first one.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of that same philosophy.
Yep, absolutely. And you've got to be, when you're grabbing that first one and you're holding it, it's going to be there, it's fantastic, but you got to know that you're going to have to let go at some point, because the same thing that saved your life, if you hang on, it'll kill you.
Got it. That's deep.
Take a pause. Take a pause.
That's a good one.
Yeah, just.
I have one more meme for you.
Ah, that was you. Oh man.
Good times.
Yeah.
YouTube Rewind.
I got smashed for this one though.
You know what?
And I brought you down with me on this one.
I'd say it was a height. I'd say we reached a height.
Yeah. It was like, I brought you down. I won't do this next. I'm gonna elevate you.
We'll all take it to the next level for the next one. Will, thank you for spending the time and talking tech a little bit. I appreciate it. Hopefully we get to do this again.
Yes, sir.
And best of luck.
You're the man. I love what you're doing.
Thank you so much.